So we got the jobs report for July this morning. A little bit less than expected jobs created, but that's not the biggest story in my opinion for jobs this week. The U.S., Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac all got downgraded by a credit rating agency for that matter. I have two things. Check the source, but they actually may be onto something. As Janet Yellen mentioned earlier this spring, get ready for more bank mergers. Well, we had one about a week ago, and the government definitely has a playbook for this. In the mortgage and real estate market, actually, Billions is back on Showtime this week, and I heard Axe is back on the show, and the Lakers Dynasty show is back on HBO Sunday night. Those should be fun. Welcome back to This Week in Mortgage, everybody. My name is Sam Battaglia at Mortgage Black in Beverly Hills. Hope you had a great week. All right, we got the July jobs report this morning. 187,000 jobs, 187. A little bit less than expected. And they actually revised the month of June down for that matter. And as we talked about earlier this year, jobs are going to be tough on a move-forward basis, and it finally seems like that has now settled in. But the big story, in my opinion, is not July jobs report or June jobs report. That's almost to be expected. It's the fact that job openings are at a 2-year low, 2+ year low for the month of June. Couple of culprits for that. Number one, obviously, the economy slowed because of what the Federal Reserve has done with their 525 basis points in a year and a half hiking. But I think AI is starting to actually take some jobs on a smaller scale, but artificial intelligence is starting to seep into the human job market. So that's why there's less job openings, in my opinion. And I do expect the jobs market to slow further, which is a good thing. As we saw today, the 10-year Treasury came down a bunch, and the stock market, certain parts of it reacted nicely because that's going to expect the Federal Reserve to take their foot off the gas finally, because really there's no reason to raise rates anymore, because as we know, we are Pavlov's dog, and the first hint that they'll cut 25 out of those 525 basis points, we'll all go running again. But there is one thing they should watch for. Obviously, jobs and wage growth. Wage growth is something they need because we need a U.S. consumer, because the U.S. consumer, as I think I say every week on the show, 70% of the economy. And I don't know why the Federal Reserve is so against wage growth. I mean, people need to live. So let's see. I think the Fed should forget about wage growth when they make their decision on inflation. Moving on, the United States got its own credit rating downgraded, and so did Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The credit rating agencies, they rate your bonds and whatnot. Fitch, S&P, which stands for Standard & Poor's, and Moody's. So they gave a downgrade. It was Fitch, not the other two. And they downgraded the U.S. from AAA to AA+. I don't really know if that means anything. And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac also got downgraded because they are quasi-government agencies. Fannie Mae, with some adjusting on their books, made $5 billion in the second quarter. So I don't know what Fitch is talking about. That said, the same people, Fitch, S&P, and Moody's, I'm just going to call them the credit rating agencies, I do have a memory that goes back a little while. And these are the same people that were marking subprime loans and negative amortization loans as AAA grade debt. Well, we saw how that ended. The Great Recession that almost turned the lights off on our economy a decade and a half ago somehow. So when it comes to their downgrading the U.S., I hope it's not anything based on numbers. As I mentioned, they may be onto something. I believe I read something that they think that we don't have the ability to govern ourselves. That's a different story. If anybody's watched TV this week, I can understand why they came out and said that, because it looks like we are having a little bit of problem governing ourselves right now. And I think underneath it all, that's the reason for their downgrade. Let's hope they are not right. Moving on to the banking system. I believe the banking system is safer than ever because the government does have a playbook that just works now at this point because they're well versed in it. So Janet Yellen told us a few months back in the spring, expect more bank mergers. Well, we got one 10 days ago or so. PacWest, Pacific Western Bank, a Bank of California, essentially a forced merger as they're both regional banks. and the government made all the parts fit together. They also put some of those parts onto J.P. Morgan's books. Jamie Dimon's the head over there. Thing I like about Jamie Dimon is he keeps saying that he doesn't like mortgages, yet Chase is very aggressive and keeps taking the parts of the mortgage parts of these banks. First Republic, they got those parts, obviously, and now they got 1.8 billion or so worth of mortgages out of this merger. Jamie Dimon is a terrific poker player. He says one thing and does the opposite in practice, which I guess in his business, sometimes you need to do that. And moving on to the mortgage and real estate market, like I said, Billions is back on Sunday night on Showtime. The Lakers Dynasty show is back on HBO. Those should be fun, unlike the mortgage and real estate market right now. So a quick note, things are obviously high. We got a little bit of relief today on the 10-year Treasury. It was up around 418 or so. I think it closed the day at 404 or something like that. That was a nice relief rally there. But in my opinion, in practice, the worst thing going on in the mortgage business right now, forget about rates. Rates will drop when they're supposed to drop, when they need to drop. You know, only time will tell, and only God knows about that. But the worst thing in real estate right now is bad pre-approval letters. I mentioned this a few months back. I think I did about a half a show on it. People need to start respecting their trade and respecting the game. You know, my real estate agent friends work really hard to get their deals and to get their business. And right now, there's not that many deals, not that much business going around. And to watch something just go away into thin air, die in the vine, as they say, because somebody wrote a bad pre-approval letter, breaks my heart, in my opinion, because we should all be compensated for our hard work. And when you trust in somebody to get you there, and they just literally lead you down the wrong road with no respect for themselves, in my opinion, and no respect for you, just to get something into escrow, that is about the lowest form of business when it comes to the mortgage business. Okay, everybody, that is my show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, please take care of each other, be a good neighbor, be a kind person, all the things we were taught when we were little. Have a wonderful weekend, and as always, thank you so much for your time.